Okay, today in class, all I did was I let everyone work on the review, and I promised that I would post the worked out solutions. So I'm going to work through these. I'm in my office right now, so I may get disturbed when I do, or if I do, I will have to pause the video and come back. So just FYI. All right, here's the first problem. So I'm going to move through these quickly. I want to isolate the variable x, so I will subtract 4x on both sides. And when I do that, I'm left with negative 6 equals 8x plus 18. And now I'm also going to move the negative 18 out of here so that I can get that x term by itself. So I subtract 18 on both sides. Oh, those don't cancel. Sorry, undo that. Those actually become negative 24. And then on this side I have 8x. Now I will divide both sides by positive 8 to get the x to have a coefficient of 1 on it. So basically that goes away. And then over here we get negative 3. So x is negative 3 is the answer to the first one. For number 2, I have 2 plus parentheses 18 minus x plus 2 times parentheses x minus 1 equals 4 parentheses x plus 2 minus 8. Okay, on this first one, just be very careful because the parentheses actually has a positive 1 in front of it. This 2 has nothing to do with what's going on over here. So I distribute a positive 1 through. Over here, the 2 doesn't have anything in between, so it does get distributed positive 2, and then the 4 gets distributed. So I'm clearing grouping symbols right now. When I do this distribution, I get 1 times 18 is 18, get 1 times negative x is negative x, 2 times x is 2x, 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Other side, 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 2 is 8. And then minus 8 was still sitting here. I'm going to collect like terms on left and right. So on the left side, I can put this and this together. That gives me x, because 2x take away x is x. 2, 18, negative 2, that gives me 18. And then on the right side, the 8's cancel. And now what I do is try and isolate my x term, so I'll subtract x. When I do that, I get 18 equals 3x. Now I'll come in, divide both sides by 3, and I get 6 equals x. So that's answer number 2. Number 3, negative 8x minus 9 equals negative 8 times, in parentheses, x minus 9. I will clear grouping symbols by distributing here. Negative 8x minus 9 equals negative 8x again, plus 72. Now I'm going to try and get my x terms on one side, so I have to add 8x to both sides to do that. When I do that, though, something happens here. These cancel and these cancel, which leaves me with a negative 9 equals 72. Negative 9 does not equal 72, therefore there is no solution for this equation, so I put the empty set, or I can put empty set of braces, or you can just say no solution. I'll take any of those. All right, number 4. X over 15 minus 2 over 3 equals 4 over 5. So what I'm going to do here is I don't have any grouping symbols or anything like that, so I'm going to clear the fractions. I find an LCD. There I'm looking at the denominators 15, 3, and 5. I list out multiples. And I find what they have in common. The smallest one in common is 15. So what I'll do now is I'll take 15, I'll multiply the entire left side by 15, 15 entire right side by 15. So here's my left side. Here's my right side. Distribute. This is 15x over 15. Distribute through here. I get, remember, 15 is 15 over 1, so I'm multiplying straight across. 15 times 2 is 30. Over 1 times 3 is 3. On the right side, 15 over 1, multiply here. That's going to be 60 over 5. So now I reduce these. This is x minus, right here is 10, equals 12. And then I add 10 to both sides. And I get x is 22. So x is canceled there. I mean, sorry, the 10's canceled, and then 12 and 10 add up to be 22. So that's number 4. Next, number 5. So I have 2 over 7, parentheses, p plus 4 equals 1/2. So I have grouping symbols and I have fractions. Remember in class I told you to do it by removing grouping symbols first. So I'm going to distribute 2 7ths through here. Now remember, this is like a p over 1. This is like a 4 over 1. So we multiply straight across. We get 2p over 7 plus, let's see, 8 over 7, and then equals 1/2. So all I did was remove grouping symbols. Now I want to get rid of fractions, so I look for an LCD between 2 and 7. Listing out multiples, we eventually get down to 14. And listing multiples, actually that's the next one, we see that our LCD is 14. So I multiply both sides of this equation by 14. And when I do that, I should, let me see here, oops, 8 over 7. And then 14 over here times 1/2. So distribute through here, you'll get 28 over 7, which is 4p. And then over here, you get, well, the way I would do it is I'd put the 14 over 1 times that. I'd cancel out here and put a 2 there. So 2 times 8 is 16. Then over here, 14 over 2 is 7. So now I need to just isolate the variable. So I subtract 16. When I do that, I get -9 equals over here 4p. I divide now both sides by 4. And I get p equals -9 over 4, and that's the way I'm going to leave it. All right, next problem, number 6. Number 6, we have 0.2 x plus 4 plus 0.65x equals 0.2 times 854. So we have a combination here of grouping symbols and decimals. And just like we said before, we're going to do the grouping symbols first. Grabbing my calculator to do this in case I need it. I'm going to first distribute 0.2 through, and then over here I'm just multiply those. So 0.2 times x is 0.2x. 0.2 times 4 is going to give you plus 0.8, or 0.8. And then there's nothing else that happens here. On the other side, 0.2 times 854 is 170.8. Now I can worry about the decimals. I need to move, let's see, the most I need to move is this one right here. I need to move that 2 decimal places to make it a 65. So that means everything gets moved too. So the 0.2 comes over 2 places, that becomes a 20x. The 0.8 moves 2 places, that becomes a plus 80. The 0.65 moves 2 places, that becomes a plus 65x. And then this one over here moves 2 places and becomes 17080. So 17,080. Now I will, on the left side, I will put my x terms together. That gives me 85x plus 80 equals 17080. I will subtract 80 on both sides. Cancels, so I got 85x equals, let's see, subtract that. Oh, that's just 17,000. And now divide through by 85. So if I do that, let me see, divide by 85, divide by 85, then the result is x equals 200. And that is the answer. All right, number 7. 9 minus 6 parentheses 2x plus 1 close parentheses, equals -3, 4z. Oh, this is where I told the class I accidentally put a z, not an x. So 4x minus 1. And now, solve this. So I will remove grouping symbols. So pass this through, pass that through. Get 9 minus, let's see, 12x minus 6 equals -12x. And pass that through plus 3. I can collect some things together on the left side, 9 and minus 6, so that's going to give me 3 minus 12x equals -12x plus 3. I will try to get my x terms on one side, so I have to add 12x to both sides. When I do that, they cancel on both sides, but I'm left with 3 equals 3. 3 does equal 3, therefore my solution is all real numbers, and this is the way you can write it. All real numbers. Or you can use that that double struck R symbol right there. All right, so that's number 7. Moving on to number 8. Number 8, we have 20 added to the sum of a number and 6 is 37. Find the number. So 20 added to the sum of a number, I don't know what that number is, so a sum of a number, and 6 is 37. So 20 added to the sum of a number and 6 is equal to 37. So putting the left side together, I get 26 plus x equals 37. Subtracting 26 on both sides, I get x equals 11. Number 9. 8 less than 5 times a number is. Let's start with that. 8 less than means subtract, but I want to do 8 less than 5 times a number. So I say 5 times the number, take away 8. So that's 8 less than that number, 8 less than 5x, is equal to, is 48 less than the number. So it's the number less 48. So take away 48 from the number. And that's the equation. I'll move my x's to one side by subtracting x. That gives me 4x minus 8 equals -48. I add 8 to both sides. And I get 4x equals, let's see, -40. I divide both sides by 4, and I get x equals, let's see, -10. So that's number 9. Number 10 was probably the hardest one, or the one that most people had a problem with. It talks about 10 times the smallest of 3 consecutive integers is 213 more than the sum of the 2 larger integers. What are the integers? So basically what we have is this. We have 3 integers, we don't know what they are, but they're consecutive integers, so they look like this. Like on a number line, like let's just say this was 8, then this would be 9, this would be 10. So whatever our first one is, the next one's 1 more than it, and the next one is 2 more than it. So the problem when you read it says 10 times the smallest. So the smallest we have we know would be x. So 10 times x is 213 more than the sum of the larger 2. So it's the sum of those 2. So I would say plus the sum of this, that's the first one, plus the second one. So this and this are the 2 larger integers. We have 213 more than the sum of the 2 larger integers. So that's our equation. And what I can do is I can combine on the right side. I got x's, 2 x's I can put together. Then 213 plus 1 plus 2, that's 216. Now I will subtract 2 from both, or 2x, sorry, from both sides. I get 8x equals 216. And now I get division by 8. So 8 there, that's x is equal to 27. All right, halfway there. Number 11. Okay, what is 35% of 68? So remember, what means that's what we're looking for. So x is equals 35% is 0.35, of is multiplication, and then 68. So all I have to do to figure out this problem is take 0.35 and multiply it times 68, and I get 23.8. So x is equal to 23.8. All right, next one, 12. 53.5 is, so 53.5 is equals, what percent, I'm going to call that x, of 428? Well, that's the same as saying 428x equals 53.4. So to get x by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 428. So take 53.5, divide it by 428, and I get 0.125 equals x. But remember, they wanted it as a percentage, so I'm going to move this over 2 decimals and get 12.5% equals x. All right, number 13. 24 is, so 24 is 15%, 0.15 of is times what number is x? So I have a 0.15 in front of x. We could use what we did in the past. If we have an equation with decimals, we can move all the decimal points over. So I'm going to need to move 2 places on each of these. So we'll have 2400 equals 15x. Or I could have just divided both sides by 0.15. In any case, we're going to now divide both sides by 15. So 2400 divided by 15 is 160 equals x. All right, we are done with 13. 14, solve the inequality. So we have x plus 6 less than 23. I will subtract 6 from both sides, get x is less than 17. Now on a number line, if 17 is here, we're saying all of our answers are smaller than 17. That means to the left of 17. So I'll highlight it, everything to the left of 17. And we do not want to include 17 because there's no equal sign underneath that inequality. So what we do is we put like a big old parenthesis type thing here instead of a bracket. I also showed you in class that you could put an open circle here and then shade down this way like this. Either way, I'll accept it. So I'm looking for this picture on the test. New page, 15. The inequality in 15 is 3x minus 4 greater than or equal to negative 5. So I will add 4. I'm going to try and isolate the variable term. And when I do that, I get 3x greater than or equal to negative 1. Now I need to divide both sides by 3. Now remember, anytime you divide, you have to ask yourself the question, are you dividing by a negative number? If we are, we have to flip the inequality. If we're not, we just leave it alone. So I am not dividing by a negative number. I'm dividing by 3. So everything's going to stay as is. And the right side is just negative 1/3. I can't do anything with that. So on a number line, let's just say this is negative 1/3. And I want everything, all my answers are bigger than that. So that means to the right. Bigger is to the right, smaller is to the left. And we do want to include it because there's an equal sign down there. So I would put a bracket here. Or you could put a solid dot and then shade to the right. Hey, hold on. On that previous problem, did I do solid dot? Oh, no, I did open circle. Okay, good. Open circle means don't include. Solid dot means include. All right, number 16. So we have negative 2x minus 5. Minus 5 less than or equal to negative 21. So I'm trying to isolate the x term. I'm going to add 5 to both sides, add 5. I have negative 2x less than or equal to, I can't do basic arithmetic right now, negative 16. Now I'm going to divide to get the x by itself by negative, I said it, negative 2. Anytime we divide both sides by a negative number, we must flip that inequality over on the next step. So these cancel, I get x, but now I flip the inequality Negative divided by negative on the right side is positive. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So my answer is x greater than or equal to 8. So if this is 8, my answers are bigger than that, so it's to the right. And I do want to include 8, so I do a bracket. Or again, you could do solid dot and then everything out to the right forever. 17. We have 4x plus 23 less than 7x minus 31. So I'm going to be talking to myself over here. And so I'm going to first isolate x, so I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. And that will leave me with 3x minus 31 here. I'll have greater than 23. Now I'm going to add 31 to both sides to get 54 is less than 3x. And then I will divide both sides by 3. X, oh, whoa, oh, what's going on? Doesn't like me today. Greater than, let's see, goes in there 118. And now on a number line, if this is 18, my x's are bigger than 18, so to the right of 18. I do not want to include it, so parentheses or open circle to the right like this. Almost done. 18. 18. Where are we at? Oh, this is a compound inequality, so we have negative 6 less than 2x. Oh my goodness. Let me slow down. Less than 2x less than equal to 14. What we do here is we try and get the x term without the 2, so we divide by 2. But whatever we do on one of the inequalities, we have to do on all of the inequalities, or both of them. So all that happens here is we get negative 3 less than x less than or equal to 7. And now what we do is we do a number line. Here's negative 3. Here's 7. Our x's must be bigger than this, but smaller than this. So that means to the right of negative 3, but less than 7. So between, I want a parenthesis here because I don't have an equal sign on this inequality, and I want a bracket over here because I do have the equal sign there. So I'll do open, everything in between, and then solid dot. 19. Another compound inequality. So subtract 4 to get our x by itself. Notice we're not dividing by 4, we're subtracting. Now we do not have to flip if we subtract, we only flip if we divide. So negative 6 less than or equal to x, these canceled, and then less than 5. So we have negative 6 here, we have 5 here. Everything again between them, bracket there, parenthesis. So solid dot, everything up here until we get to 5. Last one, I'm excited. 6/5 x minus 1/5 less than equal to 3/10 plus x. Okay, for this one, first I find LCD. LCD is 10. And then when I multiply 10 here on both sides, let's see, I get 12x minus 2 less than or equal to 3 plus 10x. Just remember the 10 gets distributed to every single one of these. And now this is just a good old-fashioned linear inequality. We're going to subtract 10x both sides. Remember, don't flip. We're not dividing. And then that's 2x minus 2 less than or equal to 3. I will add 2 to both sides. That gives me 2x less than or equal to 5. Divide both sides by 2, you get 5 halves. On a number line, if this is 5 halves, we want our x's to be smaller than that, so to the left, we do want to include it, so solid dot. Or if you want, bracket. That is all. Hopefully that helps.